What is going on, interwebs? What is going on, Moon Gang? I literally just wrapped up my interview with Michael Saylor, and that was phenomenal. And today we had our 100th episode of Dumb Money, and I'm just feeling elated. This entire experience with Ape Nation has been incredible. This journey has been incredible. And I feel like sometimes, at least from a psychological perspective, it's beneficial to take a step back and just kind of enjoy what the journey has been. So in this particular video, I do want to explain what the community means for me and why I'm particularly excited about the future of Ape Nation community. And at the end, just to show a little bit of my gratitude for everything that's been going on and all that we've experienced together, I will be doing a giveaway of 10 $100 gift cards. So if you, hey, just a little secret, if you want to fast forward and just do that, I'm not going to tattletale on you. But with all that being said, let's hop right into it. So for those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Matt, and I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just a guy who has an affinity for duck shirts, and I really like the markets. Stocks, options, futures, crypto, all of it. I think for me, maybe just the way my brain is wired, I'm a big fan of solving puzzles, and I think that these markets are one of the coolest puzzles to solve, and if you do it right, it might make you super wealthy. I've been involved in the markets for pretty much an entire decade now, and at first, it was pretty rough. If I'm being honest, and maybe a lot of you can resonate with this, when I first started trading, time after time, I just kept blowing up my account. And I think for me, my biggest issue was my own personal discipline, or I should say my lack of discipline, if I'm being completely honest. I would always get into a trade and I had a trading plan. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like if this happens, then I'll do this. But it was one of those things that in the heat of the moment, I always somehow fumbled the situation, broke my own rules. And sometimes I got lucky and I made some money, but enough of the times it went south on me and I blew up an account and then I would do it again without really, I guess, improving my own skill set, and then I would do it again and blow up. And it was just this awful cycle. And fortunately for me, one turn took another in life, and I ended up being a coder, and I ended up thinking, hey, I wonder if I could apply this just because it's very regimented. When it comes to the world of coding, it's just basically a bunch of if-then statements, and it doesn't have the emotions that I think cripple a lot of people when they end up trading. So for me, that was my first real success. In fact, I ended up coding some algorithms that I was like, oh, I like this plan, and I did end up applying it to the futures market, but it was a very specific trading plan, and there wasn't much room for my emotions to get in the way and mess up the trade. And I thought this was a unique way to approach the market because I think people like to overstate the difficulty that it required to code up an algorithm. So I always looked up to certain people, some of the finance YouTuber OGs. I'm talking Graham Stephan, Andre Jick, Meet Kevin, Jeremy from Financial Education. All of these people I really did look up to. I thought, hey, that's an awesome job. It seemed like they were talking about finance, something they were truly passionate about. And then they kind of bonded it with social media. And I just thought that was so cool. But alas, life gets in the way and you're like, hey, that's cool. I wish I could do it. But I just never had the time. At the start of 2020, I switched up my jobs and I moved to New York and I went from one coding job to another coding job. And being in New York, at first I was just really busy. And then February, March hit. And if you don't know about 2020, the world went belly up, and it went belly up pretty notably within New York City. So all of a sudden I found myself pretty much locked in and I had a lot of free time. And at first that's cool. I don't know, maybe just like you, I think I watched every single thing that could possibly be consumed on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. And slowly but surely, there was that sense of solitude, that sense of loneliness, and it was tough. I mean, I was in the fortunate position that I went through that experience with my girlfriend, and at least that was someone that I could still have like seemingly somewhat of a normal life with. But still, when you're cut off from the world like that, it's tough. And then I realized, hang on, maybe I could use this opportunity. I just had so much pent up energy. I had to do something. And I was like, okay, this is maybe the opportunity to teach a little bit about what I know about trading, especially as it relates to algorithmic trading. So right now, they're still up there. You could look at some of my oldest videos on this channel, and they're all relating to the futures market, algorithmic trading. And if you watch them, please, here's your little word of caution. They're horrendously cringe. I keep them up there just because I like to laugh at them, and it's still good education, but the presentation style, you can very much tell that for me, this is a learned skill and I'm still learning it. I am by definition an introvert. I am by no means taught in public speaking. I found it a big thing that I had to overcome in my own life. I started that in March of 2020 because I had that month where everything was shut down, didn't know what to do, started the channel, and slowly but surely I started getting going with it. Fast forward till the end of the year, like I'm talking about now, just a year ago. And I think this is maybe one of the reasons that I'm really reminiscing to think about where my YouTube channel was a year ago, where I was at just as a person a year ago. And as I was doing it, it's kind of weird. When you put yourself out on social media, it's interesting because if you think about it psychologically, you're putting yourself out there in the sense that your failure is very noticeable if you do fail. It's just, hey, they've been doing it. Are they getting numbers? And it's one of those things that I think psychologically a lot of people are comfortable with the aspect of, if you keep your definition of success and fail kind of vague, you don't ever feel that pressure because you're like, oh, I'm somewhere kind of in the fog. But with social media, it changes it because for months, I was just seeing pretty much my numbers go absolutely nowhere. And as I just was speaking about, I wasn't that good. I honestly still don't even think I'm that good on camera. It's a big skill set for me to personally continue to hone. And a year ago this time, I've shared this a little bit, but I haven't really gone into it. When I was filming, I was using my girlfriend's camera, and the camera that she has, it can only record for 10 minutes. And when I was doing these takes, and you just have to restart it. So 10 minutes, you film what you can, then you restart, film 10 minutes, go. I had an awful time speaking, a horrendous time speaking, to the point that I remember one time I was sitting in this very room. I was turned around 180 degrees, but I was in this room right here. And it got to the point that I noticed in September, maybe half of October, whenever I sat in front of the camera just like this and I was looking at it, I felt my heart start to beat. Just my blood pressure started to rise. My heart rate started to rise. I felt uncomfortable. A couple weeks of that, and I noticed that it was tough for me to get going. I would just think about the words too much, and I wouldn't actually articulate anything. And at one point in October, I sat there, and I looked at it. I started the timer for 10 minutes, and I was just trying to do the intro of a video, probably related to Tesla, Apple, something like that. And I didn't say anything. I just sat there and I kept thinking about it over and over again. And then I was like, oh, wow, that was not good at all. So I restarted it and I sat through another 10-minute segment. At this point, 20 minutes. And I was like, just talk, just say something. I could not get a word out. God's honest truth. I started it for a third time about halfway through. Now it was 25 minutes of me apparently developing selective mutism. I just felt my brain breaking. It was crazy. And at that point, I just screamed a profanity at the top of my lungs. My neighbor was concerned. They're like, what's going on? No one knew what was going on. And that's how it was for a bit. And I don't know the medical definition of a mental breakdown or anything like that. But in my own mind, if it wasn't that, it was as pretty much as close as you get. I really, really struggled mentally because I was at that point where I felt like I was putting myself out there, and it's tough in life to truly accept failure. You'd be like, you tried something to the best of your ability and it did not work out. For me, and I think for a lot of people, that could be a pretty tough pill to swallow. Be like, to come to the realization that they're like, wow, your best was not good enough. It's easy the other times when you're just like, I barely tried, so who cares if I failed? But I was in it from March till October, especially as we got to the latter half of the year. It's all I cared about. I was obsessed with it and I was not getting success. And it was it. Like my mental state was in a horrific spot. And then I don't know why. I think about this a lot. I do not know why I continued. Maybe it was because of the state of the world and there was really not much going on. I honestly think one of my true only skill sets in this life is, some would call it discipline, some would call it absurdly stubborn. I don't know what it is. It's probably a gray line. But one of those, I kept going, and it's not like it got better. Check those videos out. If you look at the videos from 2020, you're gonna be like, what's going on? And then as I got going to the end of the year, I have a group of friends that they're the kind of group that they're going to say what's on their mind. They don't really worry about beating around the bush at all. Like, they just say it. Sometimes people would call it like a little abrasive, but it's just the group of people that I guess most resonated with throughout my life. And a couple of those friends told me, Matt, this just sounds awful. It sounds not just scripted, but robotic. You seem uncomfortable. What are you doing? They just straight up told me that these videos suck. And I think that's actually some of the best advice I ever got. And maybe some of you can like take that of like, hang on, like sometimes a friend telling you something negative doesn't mean that they're not a friend. In fact, it might actually mean they're a better friend, because they're going to tell you the truth to your face. And honestly, that's a pillar that I've carried forward on my own YouTube experience, is like, sometimes the truth is painful, but it's always necessary. And that's how my group of friends were. And they came up with the suggestion of, hey, Matt, you got to work on your speaking. Is there something you can think about? And they're like, well, what about this live streaming thing? So I decided that December 31st, it was New Year's Eve. I was like, I'm going to do my first live stream. Didn't know. And I remember calling one of my friends like right before it. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I hope I could get through like 15 minutes. Like, folks, you don't understand. For me to previously record a 4 or 5 minute video, that recording took me about 5-ish hours. It was a while. And it got to the point where sometimes I had to speak in one sentence and edit all those individual sentences together. So for me, it was basically in like existential crisis. I was like, wait, I have to go straight for 15. This is crazy. And I did that first live stream, and I went for like an hour and a half. I just kept talking and talking. And I was like, what is this? It felt crazy. And then fast forward a little bit more, and I just decided to do it every week. Every Sunday, I was like, I'm just going to do a market recap and talk about like things that were going on in the upcoming week. And this entire time, as I was making my Tesla, Apple, Amazon, Neo, Workhorse videos, the whole time, I've always been a big fan, as soon as I found out about it in college, of Wall Street Bets on their Reddit page. So I found out about them in summer, back when I was in New York, of, at that point, Deep F and Value. And I got to the point, I think it was September, when he started posting more so like every 2 weeks, every week. And to December, as I started live streaming, that's where we were getting like a lot of the comment updates. And at that point, I just wanted to be a part of the community, a part of the fun. I bought some GameStop. Fast forward till the end of January, when it actually started moving to a considerable amount. I remember one day I was at work and I was too excited to script. I couldn't research. All I could do was watch GameStop on my screen. I was glued to it. I was like, there's no way. This was Wednesday, January 27th. Honestly, probably the day that my life changed. I sat there, I couldn't do a video. I talked to my girlfriend. I was like, what should I do? I'm too excited. GameStop's running. She's like, what do you mean GameStop's running? I was like, don't worry about that. I'm too excited. What should I do? And she's like, oh, just live stream. And I was like, okay, I guess I could, because actually Apple and Tesla had their earnings announcement that day on Wednesday. So I'm streaming it. There's probably about 100 viewers. And I'm streaming. Tim Cook comes on. I'm breaking down the earnings announcement. Then there was a bit of a pause, and we're waiting for Elon to come on to do the Tesla earnings announcement. In that time, some random person out there commented, Wall Street Bets Reddit taken down. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And I was like, oh, there's a couple people talking about it. So I switched the title of my stream. And that singular, just random event is honestly what changed everything for me. From right there, I went from about 100 viewers to 1,000, and the emotional response I had to that, I was beyond cloud nine. It was pure elation. I was like, I did it. I'm a YouTuber. It took me almost a year, but I did something. I got views. So the next day I was like, let's try it again. And that was pretty much like what the start of chapter 2 of the insanity. So through that experience, I got to stream a bunch of GameStop, and there was obviously at that point, that's when the AMC community started, and it was just pure insanity for the start of February. And then when obviously the brokerage, who should not be named, stopped the buying, we saw a sell-off, and that was in flux. And I was like, well, what do I do? Like, I saw as the craziness was happening in GameStop, I was about mid-February, and I was like, I love this, but how can I keep streaming the markets? Like, I have a job, like I have to pay my bills. And some of the times in life you look back and you realize that you took a leap of faith that just did not matter. Like, you don't know why. Like, you're like, like, what's going on? Why did I do that? And there's no rhyme or reason to it, just something in your gut and whatever it is. But like I said, the stars aligned. I took that leap of faith. I was like, let's just see if this can work out. And unfortunately, at first, the stocks really weren't moving, but I did start to slowly notice an entire another community was slowly but surely getting built. And that's all the AMC apes. So at this point, we have GameStop, we have AMC, two communities growing, vibrant, and it was awesome. And through there, it was no longer just watching a stock squeeze. All of a sudden, we're diving into market structure. We're talking about all this craziness. We're going into what market makers do. We're talking about dark pools. We're talking about deep in the money, out of the money options and how they can cover up FDDs. It just got crazy, and I loved it. All of a sudden, we saw all these different retail people being so excited. It was a cultural wildfire. And I sit here after my 100th Dumb Money episode, and I think about it, and I think we all have that one little story of just like something crazy aligned. And for whatever reason, we all ended up in this truly beautiful, amazing community. I know we all have our backstory, and I'm happy I have this opportunity to share mine, but I feel like we all have that. That's like the one thing in common is something was going in our life that was not the best. And I think there's an entire gambit of like, obviously that severity, but it was a group of people who I think at the most core tenet just wanted a better life. And I think that's like one of the main pillars that really keeps us all together. It's just like, hey, we're fighting to improve our life, our loved ones' lives, our families' lives. And I think with that aspect of hope, of just trying to be a little bit better, of just that sense that the life surrounding you right now, you know it deep in your gut that it's just not what you want, and you're willing to fight for more. And it's because of that I feel absurdly, stupidly fortunate to be on this side of the camera making this video right now for you to be watching it. There's not going to be words that I could possibly articulate that would really convey, like, I guess the feeling I have for this community and how much it actually truly means to me. And just know, if you're watching this right now, how much I truly, truly appreciate you and the energy and the enthusiasm you bring to this community, because it's truly one of those situations where the sum is greater than all the individual parts, exponentially greater. And it's because exactly that I'm so absurdly excited about the future of this community. It's been about 10 months strong. And with that, look at what's happened in the 10 months. Look at the things that have changed. Like the collective knowledge that this community has, I swear, I do not think for a second that any of these NSCC, IOC, DTCC, any of those rules would have been passed with the same efficiency if it wasn't for this community. And we're millions strong, and that's what we've done in 10 months. Imagine this, extrapolate it forward, and think about the things that we can actually shine a light on, the transparency we could fight for, the fairness that we could say, hey, we demand this now. The list goes on and on and on, but I just think we're truly on the right side of history. And I think that's why we're growing exponentially, because it's a group of people who are fighting for the right thing. They're trying to level the playing field for everyone, for future generations. And that's just a deeply human story that's going to resonate with even more people as we continue to spread the word of what we're actually fighting for. So for me, I'm just taking the bet on the community because to me, it's one of the most obvious bets that I could possibly take right now. So overall, I just want to wrap up this sappy part of it with just a thank you. I'm so happy to be able to do things like these special interviews, 100 episodes of Dumb Money. Man, I just can't even imagine where we're going to be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. I just cannot imagine it at all. And like I said in the intro, and just a little token of my gratitude, I thought it'd be fun to do a giveaway. So I will be giving away 10 $100 AMC gift cards. It's very simple for you to get entered. Very, very simple. All you have to do is be a subscriber of this channel, be a subscriber of the backup channel, Kohrs Light. I'll make sure to link it below. And in a comment, all you have to do is comment your Twitter handle so I know who to DM. I'm going to randomly pick 10 of you. I just need your Twitter DM so like I can actually DM you. I just need your Twitter handle. So throw that in a comment. Make sure you're subscribed to both. That's all you have to do to enter. And at the end of the weekend, start of next week, I will announce it all. I'll do out a tweet. I'll do it on live stream. It'll be very, very public. But it's just a small token of gratitude. Just a little thing I can do to say thank you. But trust me, it vastly underestimates how thankful I truly am for you right there watching. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next video. And as always, remember, from me and Chair, best of luck in the markets.